All right, once again, thank you everybody for joining this month's session of the construction updates happening at Aruna Resort here in Belize on the lovely island of Ambergris Caye. My name is Rachel Jensen. I'm the broker owner of LunaRealtyBelize here on Ambergris. And this is one of my favorite projects that we've been a part of over the last year. We've been tracking the progress of everything that's been going on, sharing with you ownership opportunities, and it has been really exciting to see everything that has been going on. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in Belize for 11 years, originally from New York, and this is truly home here. So if you ever have any questions about what it's like to live in Belize or just real estate here generally, we are certainly able to help guide you through that. Now, I just want to remind people that this session will be up on YouTube afterwards. If I make references to any of the documents or anything to subscribe to, and this is already on YouTube, just follow there in the description. That's where you'll find all of the links and the URLs. And then for those of you who are joining us for this update session live, if you have any questions, feel free to put that into the questions and answer section, and we'll get those answered for you at the end. So let's jump right in and share with you what's been going on. If you are new to this Aruna property, we have a whole session that we talked about the property overall, so I'm not going to get too much into the nitty-gritty details, but this is a property that I find really, really unique here on the island. It is a canal front community on the west side of Ambergris Caye, and there's a variety of properties that are offered from tiny homes to larger 3-bedroom models. There is a little bit of customization for those who come in prior to the construction of the home being completed, which is really neat to see. So it can really be your own oasis. And it's the slogan for this property, the motto for the property is where the jungle meets the sea, because in Belize here, we do have a lot of the Caribbean front. We do have a lot of water here in the country, about 300 keys, 300 islands in totals. And then on the mainland, there's also, even the northern part of the island here, there's a really lush jungle setting. So if we're able to marry those two and bring them into a community, it just makes it even more unique. The property is located on the west side of the island. And for those who are familiar, even those who aren't familiar, I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown of where it's located. So San Pedro town is really the primary town here on the island. There are other neighborhoods where you'll find going north and south, and there are new subdivisions and properties and developments that are going up all across the island. But the real central focal point of Ambergris Caye is San Pedro. This is where the airstrip is. This is where, if you're coming in water taxi, you'll land in. And what makes this property really unique is the fact that you can access this property by boat. It's a 5-minute boat ride. There is a community shuttle, or you're able to access it by road from Secret Beach. So you see where letter H is, that Secret Beach is about a 15-minute drive down on your golf cart to get here to Aruna. So there is access there in both ways. All right, so with that, moving forward, we are going to talk about the master plan for a minute, because phase 3 was something that was being worked on over the last couple of months. And I do want to share that we have finalized the phase 3 site map. We're going to get into phase 3 a little bit more towards the end of the presentation, but I do want to mention phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, because I am going to talk about all 3 of those phases during our next, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes here. So phase 1 is actively under construction, and they are aiming to have this portion of the property open by the end of this year, end of 2023. Phase 2 is also actively under construction. And then phase 3, we are starting the pre-sales for that phase there. So obviously all 3 phases are at different points, but I am going to mention all 3 here during the session. And then this area, if you can follow my cursor over here, is the phase 1 and 2 amenity area. People from phase 3, of course, can use it too, but there's a pool, and there's also a 3-story shipping container complex. The first floor is the bar, second floor restaurant, third floor is the lounge, and that is already up and still actively under construction, but you're able to see it. And then an infinity pool looking out towards the lagoon. It's stunning, just absolutely stunning. So under construction right now, we have the beach club, the Sunset Pool Club. If you do come here to the island, you are able to see all of this under construction actively. Over the water restaurant, the lounge, which will be on the 3rd floor, what I just mentioned. High-speed internet has been installed, which is always something important, I know, for guests and owners. There are private decks overhanging the canals, just depending on what model type you own. King beds in every room. And then we have a bunch more amenities that are coming in the future. We understand that when people are owning properties, it is important to be able to have amenities on site. And so we really put a lot of time and thought into what amenities will be here and accessible by the Aruna owners and guests. And so we added in there the pickleball court and also a gym. Those weren't originally in the master plan, but they will be there going forward. So really excited about that. And then here's some renderings just showing the future development of the amenity space. So having kiosks, we've already had some owners ask if they can put their businesses in the kiosks. Yes, you certainly are able to do that. I don't have rental numbers at this point. I'll be able to introduce you to the property management company, but it is a neat concept there where if you are thinking about relocating, you have the ability to also have a lifestyle component and working component. So you can see it's really unlike anything we've seen on the island, but still really captures that tropical feel. So we're going to focus first on phase 1, which I mentioned to you before, is actively under construction. Out of the 14 models here, the 14 room types, there are 2 that are remaining at this point. Of the 14 cottages, R3 and R11. That might not mean so much to you right now, but I will explain to you that in a moment. So over the last 4 weeks, we ended up getting an additional mural completed by the local artist Elvie. It's beautiful. It mirrors what we have on the bar area already. Flooring in the bar and restaurant area is completed. Also, additional pool furniture and outdoor area furniture has been added to that amenity space. Kitchenettes of the first 10 cottages have been completed. I mentioned to you last month that the road was just getting started to be able to go in and out of phase 1 and phase 2. So you're able to drive there. That has been completed. The steel has arrived for the homes, which is awesome. Before we had received some of it, not all of it, but we have received it at this point. Most of the interior design finishes have arrived. We are still pending some items, including some lamps, but there's another shipment coming in the next couple of weeks. In addition to that, this is really significant for people who are looking at ownership of real estate here in Aruna from an investment perspective, is we are getting BTB ready. So this has actually been something that's been in the works for a while, but as the property is getting ready to be entered into the rental market, into the rental system, it does need to go through a lot of check boxes that BTB Belize Tourism Board requires. There's already a property manager that was hired since earlier this year. She's awesome. She used to work at Best Western. She worked at Hilton at one point, even the Best Western on the mainland. And so she has everything under her belt that she needs to do in order to get this property ready. So she's actively been working on that. And then we also want to mention that owners are welcome to visit and stay a few nights. If your property is not done at this point, of course, we'll make sure you're aware of that. We typically aren't taking guests at this point just because we don't have the BTB license and not all the amenities are done. However, if you are an owner, we do encourage you to come and spend a couple of nights. But again, guests, if you have guests with you, we would prefer that they don't stay at the property quite yet because we're not quite ready for guests. But I received these pictures from the developer actually fairly recently, but this is just the beginning of when the property all started. So you can see there was a real vision that went into the Aruna property, and it still is a stunning, I think it's still a stunning picture. You see the color there of the canal and the lagoon, and you can see there's a little dock there, and that has since been expanded, and that's where there's the restaurant, bar area, the pool. And so in Belize, if you're new to real estate in Belize and just development generally, it takes time. I know it's like that in many parts of the world, but I just want to remind people of that. So this picture is from a couple years ago, and just to see the progress since has been really, really exciting. So I'm going to jump over here to some phase 1 progress photos, the interior design additions that we see. For those of you who have been following the project for a little bit, you can see that there's just more added to the interior. This one was a really tranquil addition. I walked in, I was like, wow, it's very calming, but there are some that are blue, navy blue. So there's just a little bit of color variation between the finishes and those touches. Again, not 100% done at this point because we're still waiting on a shipment, but it's neat to see it all starting to come together here. And this was a quick little video that we took when inside yesterday, but you can just see that these finishes, not tons of finishes, you don't need a lot of stuff, but it just really helps to create this element of calmness, which is what we want to get when we're at Aruna, right? When you're on vacation or when you're in your beach home, you want to just have a tranquil sense there. In addition to that, we added the kitchenettes to all of the cottages, the existing homes. That was done in some of them, not in all of them, because we were waiting on the custom woodworking by the woodworker. But you can see here, this is when it's been in progress. And then one that is getting completed over here. And then in addition to the kitchenette, this is in the studio models. They have the mini fridge, there'll be a microwave, and also a coffee pot. So you have a little bit of space there, but in the studios, it's not a full kitchen. In addition to that, more planters were added. I mentioned the mural previously that Elvia's done, but the planters are scattered throughout the property. So they're on the common area deck and then also just throughout the property. And there are planters, I didn't get pictures of it, but planters lining the existing home so that there will be more green integrated into the construction. It's really, really looking good. And I'm sorry I didn't get this picture from the right angle because there's a bar that was added there. This is from the second floor restaurant area, but the bar is just stunning. It's local hardwood. This is the live edge bar countertops here. It's just a really stunning view. And so you do have the restaurant second floor, and then the third floor is the lounge chill space. And it's just really an incredible space where you have the lagoon views and you can see into town. You can see Aruna, obviously the buildings here. So it's just a really beautiful spot. Mentioned to you, more steel has been arriving as well, which is always neat to see. And it was pretty neat when I got these pictures here that you can actually see the model that the steel is for. So this one's specifically for the Kokora model. In phase one, we do have a Kokora model in there, which is the tiny home model, but really neat to see. So I showed you some pictures previously of the interior design finishes for the studio in phase one. So this is the phase one Tikal model. It's a studio model, and it's about 800 square feet, tons of outdoor space. This is an ideal unit, I would say, for somebody who's looking to be in the rental program. You do have that kitchenette, which would be right over here, which I started to highlight in the previous pictures, but otherwise you have tons of outdoor decking space. This is overlooking the canal, so you have the water views, and it's also an overhanging deck. So you're able to throw your fishing line right into the water and catch some fish. And then as construction gets completed of the property, and even now we've already started to see the marine life repopulate, which is awesome. But this property does also offer seller financing or developer financing. Feel free to reach out to us if you would like to get more information there. So this is a photo just showing the interior of the Tikal model, what interior finishes would look like. It was what I was mentioning before with that really soothing feel to it, but you're able to see here what it would look like if you decided to become the owner of R3. And then there's one other model within phase one available, and that's a duplex. And this one is a great option, I would say, for an investor, somebody who's looking, like two for the price of one kind of thing. Here, what I really like about this specific model is the fact that it has a rooftop veranda. So we have moved forward with the decision of adding a rooftop veranda to this specific model. We were ordering materials and thought that it would be a great addition, especially for somebody who just wants a little bit more outdoor space. So the total square footage that you see is just for the unit A and B, and then this decking here, but there's a whole second floor rooftop deck that is included in that as well. 2 studios, 2 bathrooms, furniture is included, which is neat. And then there's short-term financing. But again, this is really ideal for that investor who is looking for ultimate rental income. I really don't know where you can buy 2 rental properties for $330 on the island. I mean, that's just, I think, a really good value. But if anybody wants more information about that, we'd be happy to, of course, share that with you. And here you can see what the rooftop veranda space would look like. And then you can add a rooftop wet bar should you choose, or an outdoor kitchen. And because these are actively under construction, it gives you the ability to also add in a little bit more of those customizations should you be looking for that. So here was an option. You can see the wet bar upgrade. We had one of our owners with this model decide to do that. And then the tiered rooftop here. So you have seating area up here, more of that bar lounge area on that first floor, the lower floor, we'll say. All right, phase 2, all of the canal front homes have found happy owners, so we're really excited about that. At this point, T16 remains. That is this home right over here. It can be the Itzamana model, which is a phase 2 studio, or it can be a Kokora model, which is a tiny home. And I'll show you those floor plans in just a minute there. But as I mentioned, steel is on site, and then the road to the end of the canal is complete. That's what I was mentioning before as well, which was really important, obviously, if you are driving, to have that transportation. Here's some more pictures of the steel, and you can see here how the Udara model, this is the 3-bedroom, and then the Kokora model there. So you can see that the steel is arriving for the different homes, which is really neat. So at this point, there is a Kokora model that is available. This is a tiny home with a loft upstairs. And so you are able to put that onto the T16 location, or if you want to put the Itzamana, this is more of a smaller tiny home. Still considered a tiny home, has everything in there that you need, the full kitchen, So owner lockout closet, washer, dryer, plunge pool is additional if you do want the plunge pool, but you can add that in this space as well. And what some folks who have gone with the It's a model have decided to do is add a rooftop component right over here above the deck. So if we come back here, let's just come back here for a second. So where you can see T16, you're able to see, you'll have water views from that view there. So just something to consider as well. I think for a full tiny home at $209,900, it's again, great value. Prices here on the island have just continued to increase. And I think this is one of the best values that I've seen personally in a property. So we covered phase 1 and phase 2. Let's talk about phase 3. So phase 3, we have done some pre-sales. We don't have all of the information yet. So if you're somebody who's okay with waiting a little bit longer to get all of the details, then we can certainly put a reservation on any of these properties for you that you see. I know that some people want to get in first to get the better locations, or they just had something envisioned and they're ready to move forward with some of the larger models or whatever the case may be. But I do want to highlight a couple things. So where you see, this is E1 to C13, these 5 homes here, these can either be a 2 or a 3-bedroom, an Udara or a Tula model, the 2 or the 3-bedroom model, where you see this grayed out box, I'll get to in a second. And then where you see these 3 homes here, those can either be the Kokora or the Itsamana model, which are the tiny home models. Now we are going to be introducing 4plexes in this area as well. So it gives a more affordable option for people who are looking to come into the market, maybe looking primarily from an investment perspective, or perhaps they're just more familiar, more comfortable with a condo type of feel. So this grayed out area right over here, that is slated to either be additional tiny homes, should there be the demand for more tiny homes, or it could be another single family home being an Udara or a Tula model. So just a heads up there. And then I have had questions about these structures on the beach. E2 and E3 right over here, if you follow my cursor, these are slated to be a resort property. So there would be investment or rental units. The developer is deciding if they're going to sell that or not. And then this larger structure that you see over here, this is the developer's home. It's a really, really stunning home. He has mentioned if anybody wants to buy it, of course, he'd be happy to talk numbers, but it's just a really beautiful spot there. So if you're looking in that, I'd say $2 million mark, that would be a great option for you to reach out about. But otherwise, there are really great opportunities here located within phase 3 still. And then you can see here the dock. So we are currently finishing that up and really understanding what other amenities we're going to add there, because we do have the restaurant, bar, pool here. We will be putting another pool in this area over here for phase 3. But just also note that the larger 2 and 3-bedroom homes, they have their own plunge pools. And then for the tiny home models, you can always add a smaller plunge pool should you want. However, those don't come standard with those models. Again, I know there's a lot of information. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. If you have any questions, we have a full brochure, full FAQ guide that we'd be happy to send over your way. But I just wanted to explain the phase 3 site map, since previous sessions, we've just kind of had this blurred out over here. So a lot of really good stuff coming. It's exciting to see all of the progress and everything that's moving along on property. So phase 3 has been getting prepared, which is awesome. Previously, if you saw, there were just some piles of dirt in some areas that needed to be filled in a little bit more. So it has since been filled, and we are excited about the phase 3 progress moving forward. I mentioned to you the 4plex. This is the 4plex concept, still not 100% done. Sometimes I don't know if I should put these like in works renderings in here, because people are like, well, we don't like that. We want it like this. It's like, we understand it's not 100% done yet. So it's actually still a work in progress. There will be wraparound balconies. There are some other features that are going to be added in here, but just to give you some idea of the 4plex complex that will be coming up here, available soon, renderings and floor plans coming soon. I don't have an exact date for you yet, but do know that we are actively working on that. And then these were the rest of the phase 3 models that I mentioned to you before. These are the 2 tiny homes, the Itsamana and the Kokora. And then these are the 2 and 3-bedroom models, the Tula and the Udara model. Now, do note that if you are looking at the Kokora model or the Itsamana, I'm going to go back for a second. You have the ability to choose any of these 3 locations here for the Itsamana or the Kokora. So choice is yours if you want to really nail down and hone in on where it would that you'd be located. Please note that prices are valid until October 1st, 2023. So if you're listening to this and it's after that time, please make sure you're reaching out for the latest availability and pricing. And even if you're listening to this after this live session that we're doing here, please reach out for availability because it does change on a regular basis. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I think that if anybody is interested in the property and ownership options, reach out to us. We'd be happy to go through this with you. But just note that we have the home models and the furniture packages available. Turnkey solution. There's an on-site rental management company who will take care of everything for you if you are looking for that service. Otherwise, just feel free to come and live here. We've had owners decide to do that too. Some who are looking to live here down the line, others who are like, nope, we're actually here already and we're just waiting for our home to get completed. So up to you and obviously what your timeline and your goals look like. And then I mentioned to you before with the Tula and the Udara model that you have this pool. This is part of the construction price. So you do have that. If you want a pool for the Kakura or the Itzamana, the two tiny home models, then that would be an additional fee, but 2-bed, 2-bath. And then the Udara, which is the 3-bed, 3-bath. I'm sorry, 3-bed, 2-bath that you can have as an option here too. So a quick overview of what's going on. We did do a video update as well, a walkthrough. So I'll make sure that everybody has that link. If you were on our live session here, you'll get it via email. However, if you're listening on YouTube, I'll add that link to the description below. And then we'll also add our email address in there so that you can reach out to us if you would like to get more information. Our next update is going to be Friday, September 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And I mention this because we do have our live group here. So if you want to be part of that live group, if you have any questions or anything along those lines, you can ask them during our session. Otherwise, it'll be posted up afterwards. But for those of you who are not able to get down here, we encourage you to do a Zoom virtual tour. We've had a handful of clients do this because life gets busy and hectic and you can't always get away for a few days to see the property. So this is a great way for you to at least say, all right, move forward, go left, show me the inside of the bathroom, right? Give you a little bit more insight as to what's going on versus just our pictures and the own video walkthrough we do. But info@LunaRealtyBelize.com is a great way to get in touch with our team here and reach out. We'd love to hear from you and go from there. All righty. So I think we just about hit the mark. I don't want to stay on too long with you. I know you're all very busy people. Tony, thanks for reaching out. I see Tony just left a comment here. Thanks for doing updates. You're very welcome. Tony, you got to come down. I know your friend was just down here, but you got to get down here soon too. We are right now entering, we're doing this update in August, and we're entering what we consider slow season here. So August, September, October, it's considered slow season. There are some restaurants that end up closing down. So it's a more tranquil time. If you don't necessarily want to be in the hustle bustle of all the tourists and whatnot, then this would be a great time to come down, get some low season rates. It does rain every now and again. I'm looking out the window. We did have some gray days and a little bit of rain, but you know, it's a good time to explore too and take advantage of what's going on during this season. All right, everybody, I saw Bruce that you raised your hand. I don't know if you had any question. If you do, feel free to type that into the Q&A section. Bruce, I know you're coming down over Thanksgiving, so we're looking forward to meeting you in person finally. But if anybody else is coming down that we haven't heard from yet, just feel free to reach out. Again, we'd love to meet everybody in person. And off of the screen, Theron, I see you raise your hand too. Again, I don't know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to type those in if you do. But Theron, you are overdue as well. It's been some years since you've been here. So, all righty, everyone. Looking forward to hearing from you and have a really great Friday, really great afternoon. I guess some of you might be listening on YouTube after, so have a great whatever time of day it is, and we'll be in touch. Bye, everyone.